Hey value traders, welcome back. Hope you guys are having a great weekend. So today I thought I'd come on here and show you some live trading using what I was talking about on the last video from this YouTuber that I've been following this past few weeks. His name's Anthony Beardsall. You can find him on YouTube if you type in River Value. It's quite interesting. I'm going to use it to kind of basically touch upon the overtrading and revenge trading, because I think for all traders, they come across and they come a cropper with overtrading and revenge trading. And I mean, I have in the past, especially when I was new to this. It's all very psychology based, and obviously as humans we all tend to have the same faults whether we like it or not. It's all a mind game, so you have to think about when your money is on the line, you will tend to be fearful or be greedy. This is like a natural part of it's part of human nature, is what I'm trying to say. So overtrading and revenge trading is a big thing in the trading world. However, I do believe that this river value will, in a way, be a contrarian to that. And I would say that if you know how to trade this river value, with practice, I think you are going to enjoy overtrading. And I think the only caveat to it is, I would say, don't overdo it and protect your health. So, I mean, don't sit on, the 24-hour futures and keep trading Bitcoin, 24/7, 365. I mean, don't do that. But what I'm saying is there are endless opportunities if you do follow the river value kind of strategy that he outlines. So in the last video, Trading 101, I did mention this towards the end of my video, and I showed you, a quick example. But here, I think I would like to show you live on Bitcoin how the river value is quite, it's quite a true, it's a way for traders to really follow the candles. And for some reason, Bitcoin really likes to follow the river value. I mean, other stocks and indices and instruments do follow it, but I've noticed that Bitcoin, being as volatile as it is quite tame by the river, and it does meander along the banks and crosses it. So I thought I'd show you live. Obviously it's easy to show you live because today is a Sunday, and normally the stock market or stock exchanges are normally closed. So Bitcoin is 24/7 along with other cryptos. So I thought I'd show you Bitcoin instead. So if I look on the daily chart, which is the daily time frame that I have down here. So on the day, you can see that Bitcoin follows the river value quite nicely, and the river value on my chart can be seen with the white line and the blue line. So the white line is my 8-day moving average. So it can be exponential or simple. It doesn't really make much difference to this strategy. And the blue line is your 20 SMA or EMA. So between the 8 and the 20 moving day average is what's known as the river value. So between those two lines is your river or your crossing, where the price will it will meander along the river until it finds value. And what it tries to do, it tries to cross the river, and it crosses the river either up or down, and that's how when to strike. And for this, for what I'm talking about today, we're scalping. So what I normally tend to do before I scalp is I check higher time frames to see what the trend is. So I thought I'd just show you, because regardless what time frame, the river value is very effective. It seems to hold price either above, below, or through it. So you can pretty much be quite secure in the knowledge that the price does meander along the river. So even on the daily time frame, you can see that Bitcoin was, I mean, it's in a downtrend. So as it's in a downtrend, you can see that price does cross the river, try to find a higher point, meaning it will have a pullback, and then it will keep trading downwards because you're in a downtrend. And at the moment, Bitcoin is obviously in, it's trying to do a pullback, and everybody's waiting to see if it's going to break through the 200-day moving average, which is my yellow line here. And the 200-day moving average tends to tell you the trend of the stock, whether it's trending upwards or it's on a downtrend. So at the moment, Bitcoin is falling in price. However, it's kind of having a leg down, but it's trying to, make its move up, and it's trying to break the downtrend and create an uptrend. So at the moment, that's the stage that you can see on the daily time frame. So we've had a pullback, and we're having, a bit of a downtrend here, and we're having a slight pullback in this daily time frame. As you can see, it's starting to make its move upwards and trying to break through the river and maybe reach the basically that yellow 200-day moving average. So if I move to a 4-hour chart, the time frames are basically candles. Each candle on each time frame represents that unit of time. So on the 4-hour time frame, each candle is 4 hours. So some people who are swing traders will hold this for a few days, a few weeks, a few months, and then they would trade off a higher time frame like the 4-hour and the 1 hour to get the entry points to stay in for a swing trade, which is long-term trading. But for scalpers, I would just use this as a way to drill down to see where the trend is. So on the 4-hour, as I say, Bitcoin is making a higher high each time. It's going higher and higher and higher. Hence we've got this line here to show you that each time it's hitting this, it's going higher and higher. So it's aiming to at least hit the 200-day moving average. That's its target there, which is at the moment round about 68k, I think that says. So that's where Bitcoin is trying to get to, and it's following the river value to get there. So as it crosses over, comes back to test the river value. There you can see, if this is in an uptrend, or we call this a pullback. So in this pullback, you can see the price is crossing through the river. So this is what Anthony teaches you. He says price will cross through the river, and it's crossing it through the river here with this green candle. And as it crosses through the river, it'll come back to test it. And that's your in price. Because as you're going up, if you remember from my last video, Trading 101, if you're in an uptrend, if you're, trending this up here, this more uptrend here, you need to come in at a low price. So buy low to sell high, and you're always making the difference. If you remember, you're making the difference. So here we know that Bitcoin is going up through the river. So you wait for candles to give you an in. And as it gives you the lowest price in, you now can enter the trade to go up higher. And in that one candle on this 4-hour, you would have, if you're a swing trader and you hold it for a few hours, you could have been in this for 4 hours, and it would have created this whole big green candle for you. So on a 4-hour time frame, one candle represents 4 hours. So anyway, I'm just showing you that on every time frame, Bitcoin does, it does kind of meander through this river of value to find price, to move. And this is how every instrument moves. But Bitcoin really highlights it very clearly. Even on the 1 hour, it's still the same. Look, on the 1 hour, it's still doing exactly the same thing. So you can follow it. Say here, it's in a downtrend. And as it's in a downtrend, you can see it crosses the river. It pulls back to find a price of value, and then it will crash again through the river. Pulls back to find value, crashes down, pulls back to find value, crashes down. And it keeps doing that until it decides to, you know, end the downtrend and go back on the uptrend, meaning, you know, when you're in an uptrend is when it creates a higher low. So when it pulls back, it doesn't pull back any lower than this last value here. So it pulls back to give you a higher low, a higher low, a higher low, a higher low. So at the moment, we're in a mini uptrend at the moment. So on the 1 hour, you're seeing that Bitcoin is trying to do a mini uptrend back to the 200-day moving average. So as a scalper, my highest time frame will be a 15-minute and the 5-minute. This would be the parent time frame to look at, so that when I'm trading, I'll be scalping on the one minute. However, I'm kind of using the 15 and the 5-minute as to show you, or as to have an indication of where I think, you know, this trend could go, as far as if I was to scalp and hold it for a little bit longer, and also to give me direction and an idea of what price is doing. So like I said, it's in a mini uptrend. So on the 15-minute, you can see it's making a higher low, higher, 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 higher. It's going higher each time. So in its last move across the river, it's obviously broken through the river, come back to price. So as you move away from the river, you come back to the river to you ascertain the price, or the fair value for where Bitcoin wants to go. So at the moment, it's kind of like meandering, and it's showing you that it's kind of having a pullback to establish a price. So either it will continue to keep going higher, or it could fade. So if we go down to the 5-minute, we can see where we're at with the river value. So on the 5-minute, you can see that it's in a mini downtrend now. So it's trending, and the resistance, when you're looking at the river value, is what is above it. So above it is the 20-day moving average. So it's obviously found resistance, and it's like fallen from resistance every time it hits 20, or the bank, and it's for the embankment, and it's falling back down. However, we are establishing that Bitcoin is now crossing across the river once again, and as it's crossing the river, it's crossing with a big green candle to give you a pullback where you can enter, and then off you go scalping. So that's the 5-minute, showing you that it's making its move up. So if I now go straight to the 1-minute, you can see already that it's made its move. So it's decided that it wants to keep on going higher. So now we know that it's in a mini uptrend and it's making its move. So at this point, I would try to get back in when it comes back to the river value, which is going to be my 8 EMA. So what I would do is, I'm on a demo, so I'm just leaving a limit buy order here on Bitcoin. So when it comes back to test the 8 EMA, which is my white line there, it will give me an entry, which is buy low to sell high. So never chase these candles, guys, because at some point, it's only a 1-minute. You don't have to wait that long. And the 1-minute will come back to retest the 8 EMA, and then it will take you in the trade. Or it could come back to the 20, or come back into the river value, which is between the 8 and the 20 EMA. And it will come back and hit that to get you into the trade, okay? So that's where you need to like wait and sit. So here we go. It's coming back down now. So I would place a few, I'm on a demo, so I'm just showing you what I would do. I would place, you know, a few limit orders kind of at the 8 EMA and in the river itself, if it decides to, you know, revisit the river before it goes up any higher. Now, this is because I like trading this way. However, the way that Anthony Beardsall shows you is that he would wait for the red candle to come down, and then as soon as he sees the hint of a green candle, either on the 8 EMA or the 20 EMA, and then he would enter his trade there. But obviously for me, you know, I prefer just to scalp kind of in and around that area, because you can put in more than one contract to do that. I should have some background music going for this, you know, like elevator music. So down below here, guys, I have what's called the RSI here. Can you see my RSI? So that's a relative strength index. Now, when the relative strength index is showing you, when the purple line is above that yellow line and it's above the 50, we're in an uptrend. And it can go to an oversold area beyond 80 on the relative strength. But so long as it's above that yellow line, which is the midline of 50, we know it's still in an uptrend. So as you can see, the candles, that huge green candle there is starting to slow down a little bit. So we'll get a pullback at some point. And I wouldn't get in unless I got a good price. It's all about the price is right. You really need to get value for, you know, your entry, so that, you know, you get the maximum difference, and then that's where you make your maximum gains, your max gains. So like I said, with this, you know, with this strategy, there are endless trades that you can make, because obviously price keeps going away from the river, comes back to the river, away from the river, comes back to the river, away from the river, comes back to the river. So it's endlessly doing this. It's a wave, and it endlessly keeps waving at you. So if it keeps waving at you endlessly, you're going to have forever over trading, you know, opportunities. And I would say these over trading opportunities, oh, here we go, guys. It's starting to come back to the river value. And hopefully we'll get in as price reaches it. So sometimes you have to, you know, manage your, oh, here we go, guys, we're in, but it wants to go lower. So I'll move this up to, I'm averaging, this is called averaging in my trades. So it's coming back to the river of value, guys. So like I said, there's lots of entry. It's an endless never-ending story. And here, I think at this stage, this is where he would get in, because it's giving you a wick. Can you see? It's wicking right at the 80 MA. And if you get in here, this is your risk. This here is your risk. But it's a minute candle, so you have to wait for the whole thing to finish. So it looks as though Bitcoin is coming back to the river of value to establish a good price point to keep on moving upwards. And because we're on the 1 minute, we don't have to wait too long. So like I said, I like to average in or DCA in, and that would be, you know, a few contracts. And normally, because TradingView is a demo account, you can see that each contract costs you so much on this data here, and the leverage is 100 to 1. So this actual trade per trade is costing over 600 US dollars for one contract. So that's the cost for one contract. Oh, hang on a second, guys. Let me get out of this. Okay, for some reason it's not letting me out of this screen for some reason. Oh, here we go. Right, here we go, guys. So one trade, as you can see, it's quite expensive to trade Bitcoin if like one contract costs you about 600 quid. But it just gives you an indication of, you know, the cost of Bitcoin when you trade it, and why it's, you know, people like to use leverage because obviously it's so expensive. to trade. But I'm just showing you live how you can scalp on a 1 minute. So obviously it's come back to the river of value, and it's either found its value there already, or it may come back for some more value before it goes higher, but we'll just hang out to see. So you can move to the 5 minute. So on the 5 minute, you can see pretty much where you are in the scheme of things. So you are quite a ways from the 80 EMA. But if you were, this is what I mean about endless opportunities. Like if you had missed this initial opportunity on the 5 minute with this red candle and this red candle, well, hey presto, you can go on to the 1 minute and catch another, you know, another trade here on the 1 minute to get in. So your 5 minute is just giving you an indication of another trade that you can take. So on the 5 minute, if you've missed your entry and you think, oh, I've missed that red candle, then you can go down, you know, to a smaller time frame and then pick up another entry point to move with this wave up. So like I said, anyone who got in with this, they would have made these 3 green candles, you know, these 3 green candle moves, and they would have been out. And if they were going to hold it for a bit longer, until 15 minutes, so on the 15 minute, so here on the 15 minute, they would have just held it until it broken through to the next level. So the next level would be round about where my orange line is there. I mean, it could be here if you wanted to, you know, get out of your trade early, or you could hold it to this actual point here. There. So I'll put it here for now because I'm doing just, you know, a 1 minute scalp. So if I go back to the 5 minute, you can see on the 5 minute that Bitcoin is coming back to the river value, where I've already got some other trades waiting to DCA in. So if I move that up a little bit, and then if we go, you can even go to the 3 minute to see how close you are to the 80 EMA before it decides to keep on shooting up. So we'll just sit this out to see if Bitcoin wants to go back into the river before it goes up more. Well, before it starts to make its move, really. We'll see what it decides, if it wants to go, you know, tap its toe into the cool river before it decides to, you know, make a move forward. Yep, it's going to dip its toe once again. So you can see here that it's completed on a scalp. It's completed that scalp, and it's giving you a pull back to the river, and then it's giving you an in, and here we go. That would be your entry there. Instead of sitting through that gubbins with me, you could have got in here with this green wick here. But then you have to wait for a candle close, guys. Don't just hop in because you see it turning green. Wait for the candle to close and give you the actual wick, and then get in. But like I said, if you watch his videos, you know, he goes into it with greater depth into how he actually enters and exits. Like I said, I would just, you know, DCA. Like, I wouldn't sit and wait for a wick. I would throw in lots of contracts and DCA into the position. Dollar cost average into the position. So we're waiting. I don't think the river ever runs dry. Which is another reason for overtrading, eh? Anyway, like I said, overtrading and revenge. Oh, there we go, guys. Can you see? that is the river of value and how you trade it. So you'd have to be, you know, quick to catch that, to get out. But there's lots of pullbacks. It's testing the value of this river a few times before it makes its move. So it looks as though it wants to go, and on the RSI you can see that it's dropping below 50. So it looks as though it's wanting to go lower. So on the 5 minute here, you can see that it's coming back to test the river of value. And like I said, I'll sit on the 5 minute because on the 5 minute there is a pullback. So this is how you can see trading time frames is quite, you know, a good starting point to know where your entry needs to be. So on the 5 minute, there is a pullback to the 80 EMA, and you can see it. It's trying to do a pullback. It's pulling back to the river. So I think I jumped the gun a little bit. Like I said, I've only started recently watching this way of trading, and I'm finding it, you know, a very fascinating way to trade, thinking of the concepts of the river of value and where price likes to move, because a lot of people who look at these candles, they've no idea where it's going. So this is why people draw trend lines and people draw, you know, moving averages, is so that they can, you know, watch the pattern form. And when they watch patterns form over and over and over again, they can then, you know, break it down as to, you know, the entries and the exit points that they can then consistently trade over time, because, you know, they're monitoring this. So for me, I like the river of value because it makes sense. It makes sense that price tries to establish some sort of value, some sort of pricing structure for it to then either make a move up or a move down. And the river of value isn't very confusing. It makes it easier for the trader not to get lost, you know, in what they're doing. I mean, I can be talking to you and making this video, and still I can track BTC, and Bitcoin is meant to be the most volatile asset out there, and yet I can talk to you, make this video and explain to you on a live demo, trading it live at the moment on TradingView. And by the way, guys, the link is down below in the description box. If the link isn't highlighted, then just copy and paste it into Google, and then you'll get TradingView for free. So TradingView, I'm not affiliate. I mean, I'm affiliated with them, but they don't, you know, pay me for making any commercials on it or ads on it. I just use it to learn how to chart. And since I've been using it, it's been like a really good tool. It's the best tool out there at the moment for any chart, you know, for any trader to chart candlesticks and understand where price is moving, because of all the different tools that they have on there. I mean, they should pay me for advertising it for them, but I do get, you know, some type of, you know, freebie if you guys sign up, meaning, you know, I get a little bit more access than what they give us free, you know, as a freebie to everybody who uses their chart analysis tool. So anyway, the link is down below, guys. Just copy and paste it if there's no actual linkage there, and then just put it into Google, and then you can set up your free account with TradingView, and you can start to do what I'm doing, which is just learn how to trade with the river of value. And I would say, if we go on to the 15 minute, you can see that resistance is at that 20 EMA, which is my blue line. So until it crosses that blue line, there isn't going to be a move upwards. So we need to wait for that blue line, that 20-day moving average to be broken, for it to move up through the river and out of the river to the other side. Okay, so let's go back to the 5 minute to see what's happening. Okay, so on the 5 minute, if you were an Anthony Beardsaw trader, you would have entered as this wicked onto the ATMA. Okay, and then you would have like got in there. However, I'm not. I'm just following his river value and entering using DCA. So I DCA'd back here. I DCA'd back here when it gave me, these wicks down here. And I sat through all this before it started to make its move higher. So it's making its move now. And like I said, this line here, this orange dotted line, was where on the 15-minute I had my 20-day moving average resistance. Can you see? It's trying to break through the river. Can you see this red candle is breaking through the river, but it's not having it. It's like fighting. And if it wants to go down further, it needs to be, this 20-day moving average needs to hold resistance. But if it doesn't hold resistance and it breaks through, then Bitcoin doesn't want to go any lower, but it's breaking through to go higher. But we know it's going higher simply because on the higher time frame, it was showing us that it wants to go higher. Here on the 1 hour. And this is why you need to trade top down. See, on the 1 hour, it's showing you that Bitcoin is making its move. Look, it's a higher high, higher low situation. Each price point is going higher, higher and higher. Look, it's going high, high and high. So it's trying to make its way up to the 200-day moving average, which is here. Okay, so on the larger time frame, even on the daily, you can see it's making its way through the river value to break through to the other side because it's going higher and higher. So we know that. So as we know this information, we should stay in the trade until it's completed its move. So on the 4 hour, you can see if you'd miss this 4 hour entry, I hope you're following this, guys, and I'm not confusing you too much from going, just, go back and watch it again. But all I'm saying is with each higher low, higher high that it's making, each candle is getting higher and higher and higher. If you were trading this on the 4 hour and you'd miss this red candle here to come back to the 8-day moving average, can you see where the wick of this red candle was? If you'd missed that entry point, you simply just go down a time frame and you find another entry point to get in. Can you see what I mean? So on the 1 hour, if you'd missed that entry, then you just go down to the next entry on a 15-minute. So on the 15-minute, it's trying to break through this 20-day, the blue line, my blue line, the 20-day moving average. It's trying to break through that to make its way up to the 200, which was up there. So if I go back to my 1 minute, you can see that price. So on the 1 minute, why I say scalping you need to be fast is because on the 1 minute, as it hits that top point there, it's going to pull back to the river value. So price never gets far away from the river value. As it goes away, it will pull back, go away, and it will pull back. So here, guys, if you were scalping this 1 minute, you would have come out, you would have exited already at that point. But because I'm watching the 5 minute higher time frame, I can see that it's just giving you, pullbacks to the ATMA before it goes much higher. And even still on the 15 minute, we're still trying to break out of this 20 EMA. So we'll just sit with it. And this is what I mean by practicing. The more you can practice these, the better. sometimes you have to be quite patient if you're waiting, you know, if you're playing the longer trade, you have to be a little bit more patient. So anyway, here we go, guys. So we're waiting for it to make a move upwards, and then we can be out of this play. I think I should put some background music to this. So the way that I'm trading and the way that you've seen me put these limit orders in here is basically what is known as kind of like how you trade futures. So with futures contracts, you just simply on TradingView, you connect your account with whichever platform you're trading with, whether you trade with eToro or you trade with whoever. You can connect your account with TradingView, and you can use TradingView's charts to place your trades, and you simply just hit on the right hand and you say add, and then you buy or sell. Here we go, guys. It's making its move. Now, you may think $28 isn't a lot of money, but don't forget Bitcoin's a very expensive instrument to trade, and it's trading at 100 to 1 leverage, and one contract is costing 600. So a lot of people trade. This is why Bitcoin could be, you know, it can like knock you out completely and blow up your account, because people leverage to the moon. I mean, you can like do more than one contract at this point. I mean, if you 10x that, you can see the type of money that's needed to trade Bitcoin. But I'm just demonstrating on here just to show you how even a volatile stock like Bitcoin really follows the river of value and the concept of the river of value. So on the 1 minute, you can see it making its move. But let's go to the 5 minute, and you can see the 5 minute, it's breaking through that resistance, as I mentioned. Look, can you see that 20-day blue line, that 20-day moving average is now broken? Can you see? So this candle that is being created, it's only got 7 minutes left. Look on the here, can you see on the right hand side, it's telling me a countdown. There's a countdown. There's 7 minutes left of this 15-minute candle. So you can sit and wait for that 15 minutes. So on a 15-minute time frame, each candle lasts for that length of time. So you can wait for the whole 15-minute candle to close and see if it goes at one more candle for you. Or at this point, you can like end your trade if you were on the 5 minute. Let's see, on the 5 minute, it's got a minute or so left of that candle to go. But like I said, it's breaking out of that blue moving average. So it's breaking out of the river. So if we follow the river strategy again, these green candles are breaking through the river. So when it's broken through this river here, it either carries on breaking or come back to test the river one more time and then keep going higher. And this is how price likes to move. Price likes to meander along the river. Look, see, it meanders and it breaks through to come back, breaks through to come back, breaks through to come back. And that's how price likes to move. So this is why overtrading is possible with the river value strategy, and you'll be winning with overtrading instead of revenge trading. You'll be like avenging trading, if that's a term. You'll be like not revenging but avenging. So you'll be winning with each trade, because there are plenty of trades, because the river flows, people. Is what I'm trying to get at. The river flows, and so as the river flows, there's going to be like plenty of fishing going on. So you'll be fishing all the time, so long as there's still fishes, meaning it will keep coming back to find like value all the time, that there'll be plenty of opportunity for you to keep trading. So now if I go back to the 1 minute, you can see, because I was talking to you guys, I would have exited at that point at this orange line, because I said that was where the 20-day moving average is resistance. But because I'm looking at the long term, on the long term, it's going to keep going. If I go back to the 15-minute, look, it's giving me an indecision, meaning at this point it can keep on pushing, but it's got 4 minutes left to go. So it could keep on pushing to go higher and keep making its up move. So we'll just sit with it and see what happens after the 4 minutes is up and the 15-minute candle closes. It's really good to test this yourself, guys. Like I said, open the TradingView app and start practicing following the candles along the meandering river value. So add on there, you know, your 8 EMA and your 20 EMA, and then follow the river's journey and see where it takes you. I mean, for me, this could be, in terms of like, you know, following higher highs and higher lows, this could simply just be that it's making a lower low to go a little bit lower before it goes a lot higher. So we'll just sit it out and see how far it likes to, you know, Bitcoin is going to push this. I'm back on the 1 minute again, because at some point I may just, you know, stop this trade and then we'll sit it out and then we'll wait for it to like make its decision, and then we'll just either follow it up the river, follow up river or down river, rather than it trying to cross, because crossing can take some time. You know, there's a lot of people crossing. Where people cross, there's going to be big queues. Do you know what I mean? Do you see what I mean? It's a very like self-explanatory concept. So given that the mind works on, you know, simple things, it's quite easy for anybody to pick up this strategy and like work with it. Okay, so it's making a push up. And like I said, these contracts for Bitcoin is like 600 a pop. So you can like increase your leverage 10 times, and you know, instead of 35, that would be 350 or 3,000, depending on what your leverage is and how many contracts you have on here. But I'm just demoing this so you can see the river of value and how to trade each of the candles as it hits the river of value. So if you were trading this on the 1 minute instead of me chatting, you would have made 3 trades already. You would have got in here, got out here, got back in, got out here, got back in, and got out here, got back in, and then you'd wait to get out at the next point, which is what I'm going to do. And then at that point, I bet it will probably just fly, because that's how volatile Bitcoin is. Sod's law. Anyway, guys, I hope you find today's kind of live trading with Bitcoin of some use. Like I said, overtrading can be thought of in 2 different angles. There's a contrarian way to think of it. And obviously, it's only contrarian because you've got a method, you know, and a strategy that gets you to win with more trades than less trades. And if you didn't have a method, then obviously you'd always be losing, because you're overtrading with a losing trade. I suppose it goes with anything in life, isn't it? If you have a strategy, you wouldn't lose, would you? So you always need to like know a way of how to win. And when you know the way, then if you practice it, you end up winning rather than losing. Okay, for some reason, Bitcoin is like really queuing. There's too many people queuing. So I'm going to get out at this point because we could be waiting for some time for it to make a move. Okay, guys, I'm going to end it there. Hope you enjoyed that. Like I said, that's the river value strategy from Anthony. Let me cancel these orders. Anthony Beardsall. And as you can see, it's gone as high. If I just refer you back to that 15-minute. So it's going as high as this 20-day moving average. And you can see that 20-day moving average is starting to curl down. So it looks as though we could be in what's known as a range trade situation, where it could range here for a bit before it decides to, you know, like I said, where there's a crossing, there's going to be a lot of passengers wanting to get on and off, so it's going to be a bit of a queue. So I would wait until the queue has ended and the ferry's about to take off, and when the ferry's about to take off, I would join it again. But today's the gist of today was just to tell you that overtrading and revenge trading is purely based on what you know and what you don't know. And if you're trading the wrong thing and you overtrade it, then obviously you're overtrading the wrong thing, the wrong strategy, which is no good. But if you're overtrading a good strategy, well, then that's really good. But then you've got to be aware of your health, haven't you? So with anything in life, it's always best to have a medium, you know, a median point, a balance. You need to weigh things out all the time. And I think trading, like in life, it teaches you, you know, value, balance, health, you know, a good mental, kind of framework for what you do. So anyway, I'm kind of waffling now. I hope you guys and gals found a lot of use with today's video on overtrading and revenge trading, and I hope that if you start practicing the river value, you will find that it offers endless opportunities, but like I said, it takes practice. So practice makes perfect, guys. Okay, peace out. Have a nice weekend.